Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Good Love Podcast, a Good Love Project production with your friendly neighborhood sex geek and good lover, Katrina Boots Rainsong. Here at the GLP, we strive for informed, enthusiastic consent, so this is your content warning. The Good Love Podcast is a sex and relationship education podcast directed to adult listeners. We offer playful, powerful, and positive education on sexuality, pleasure, kink, sexual health and wellness, and a slew of other grown and sexy topics. If you find any of these topics objectionable, you're welcome to skip an episode or even the whole show. If you're under 18, we recommend heading over to scarletine.com for all youth-focused sex ed needs. Now, if you're an enthusiastic yes, get comfy and enjoy the show. Welcome to the first episode of the Good Love Podcast, a Good Love production with your friendly neighborhood sex geek and good lover, Katrina Boots Rainsong. So today we're talking about sex and mindfulness. You know, we often treat sex, love, and pleasure like these things that everyone is supposed to just automatically be great at. We want to be skilled. We want our lovers to be skilled. And yet we're told it should be effortless, a natural talent. You know, we all want to be masters of pleasure. And yet the idea of taking a workshop or reading books to become such a master is sometimes stigmatized. But what if we approached sex as a practice? Just as we embrace mindfulness and yoga, martial arts, dance as a practice, how might your experience of sex change? So what does it mean to practice mindfulness, and what do I mean by practice? Well, first, let's get some clarity on mindful practice. To be mindful means to be aware and present, to be focused on the moment while observing your experience, one's bodily sensations, thoughts, or feelings. Practice in this case is not a repetitive memorization of actions or information with an end goal of perfection, but rather an ongoing exercise of techniques or activities. In yoga practice, for example, practice doesn't make perfect. You practice to go deeper into your own experience. It's a feedback loop that gets better with every single curve. When we shift from sex as performance to sex as a mindful practice, certain self-limiting beliefs can begin to fall away. We see pleasure and connection in a new light and with new depth. We're able to release our expectations of ourselves and our partners and instead flow from whatever intention we choose to be. When we shift from sex as performance, we're able to release our expectations of ourselves and our partners and instead flow from whatever intention we choose, be it connection, playfulness, exploration, or whatever your heart or body craves. So what are some concepts of mindful sexuality? First, there's no right way to experience pleasure. A yogic mindful practice allows you to sit in the space of the observer. We can go into experience without judging ourselves or our partners. This gives us room to explore without fear. We can shake off the performance anxiety that can come with a new playmate or step out of the routines built within a long-term relationship. Be the sexy scientist you were born to be. With 5 senses, a heart, and a brain, you have all the equipment you need. Try things out. Ask for feedback. Didn't do the trick? No worries. You're playing and learning. Found a technique that rocks? Note that and add it to your tool bag and keep on exploring. End goal versus being in the moment. Entertainment media, porn, romantic movies, etc., has us focused on the end goal of sex. Typically, particularly in heterosexual sex, the finish line is marked by the male orgasm, the money shot of the adult film industry, as it is known. When sex becomes a mindful practice, each moment becomes its own climax. Your mind is fixed in the now instead of chasing the big screaming "oh" you think you should be having. Goal-focused sex can also be a barrier to intimacy. It becomes something that we do to each other rather than with each other. When we're no longer foreshadowing your pleasure, focusing on what you hope to feel next, you can sink into each sensation, going deeper into your body and into your connection with your partner. Passion. Hot flash versus slow burn. When love is new, it is intense. There's a serious heat, and it's easy to get excited. Long-term relationships don't always have that constant feed of dopamine and serotonin. We long to keep that heat going, but passion can end up feeling like one more thing on the endless to-do list of the day. When we think of intimacy as a mindful practice, it becomes part of your daily life, an enhancement that is sustainable. It takes far less energy to keep a fire going than to repeatedly rekindle one that has gone out. By keeping a slow burn, we never lose our heat. Practice makes better practice. So this brings us full circle. We want to be masters of pleasure. We want to be good lovers. But even yoga masters continue to practice. Doctors practice medicine. Lawyers practice law. There is no perfect, especially with something as uniquely fluid as sex and pleasure. Every connection, whether you're with one partner for life or enjoying a variety of lovers, is going to be different. Being present to the nuances of each sensation can expand your world of pleasure tenfold. So, what is one way, one change that you can make to shift towards a mindful practice within your sexuality? Even with yourself, one can be mindful in their solo practice, their self-love as well. There's even a word for this coined by the wonderful Dr. Annie Sprinkle, medibation, which of course is a portmanteau of meditation and masturbation. But what is one thing that you can do today? One thought that you might be able to reframe to bring you closer to stepping away from sex as performance and into intimacy and pleasure as practice and as experience. I'd love to hear from you on this. If you have comments, questions, feel free to send them to me at info@goodloveproject.com. And if you have a specific sex ed question, be sure to note Ask a Good Lover in the subject, and your question may show up on our podcast. Until then, keep on good loving.